me, Mario. Hello.
Hello to me, Luigi. Hello. We're about to go and hunt some ghosts before I go back to my mansion.
Okie dokie.
Before I go back to my mansion in Florida. Oh yeah, the 4th of July is coming, and before we take down the Bowser, we're gonna hunt down some ghosts. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Yeah, I'm wearing my Luigi outfit today because there's actually an area where we can actually proceed. So, okay, you can get damaged there. Alright, so, my last Let's Play, we actually went through there first, but we're gonna come back to that because we're gonna save that for the big day coming up Monday for America. This is the Boo! So, remember, in part 1, we actually came here, and these guys were not here at all. But, after collecting a certain amount of stars, they do show up. So these guys, they're just there to bug you. Oh, sure. You don't really need to kill all the boos. You can do it for fun, or just say for regenerating your health. The boo you really want to go after is this guy. So, and that will take you to Boo Boo's haunt.
Let's go.
Daddy, save me. Alright. The signs, you don't really need to read them. You don't really need to read them. So, because I'll just tell you what we need to do. So, what we need to do actually is we have to actually defeat, kill the 5 boos. So, like this one, we're getting busted by. So, and there are a total of 5. He's got 2 of them. It's a pretty easy mission. Very easy, I would say. So, these are the rooms that you really want to go. The 4 rooms. There's the eye. I demonstrated because we need for a 100-point mission. You spin around a couple of times, and he actually gets dizzy, and that happens. So, room 1, room number 2, or room number 3. This is the bridge. Now you want to be careful not to fall, because it actually takes you to the basement of the mansion. And we're going to actually take you to that place in the next star, unless I fall off here. This is room number 4. Don't worry, they're connected. And last move. Go to the first room of the mischief. Alright, now we have summoned the Big Boo. And... ow. That's pretty much it. And then after that, these stairs actually gets created. So, that works.
Here we go.
Alright, same thing, and one thing I'll say, what? I didn't get in. One thing I will say that I don't like is when every time you leave the stage or the collected star or whatnot, you have to defeat the Big Boo just to get inside again. Right, Big Boo's merry-go-round. Alright, we're actually gonna go this way. And the sign right here tells you watch the sign. Around the circles. Yeah, and it's one of those eyes things. So, ignore him. This is actually an elevator. So this way leads you to the spinning go-around, where there's actually more boos you have to defeat, and another Big Boo actually comes. So let's go to this door, and we're going to want to go to this painting here. And Easton gets blue coins, which is worth 5 points. Extremely useful for the 100-point mission. And now, after 5 Boo Boos, we got the big guy. Hey, that's a crazy hitbox. That's it, pretty much. Extremely easy. Now the next one, there's actually two ways to do it. We can do it the speedrun way, or we can do it the legitimate way, and I'm going to show you both. Try again.
Let's go.
Alright, so this one we have to go to the library and go through books. So, let me show you the speedrun way first. Come over here. And all you really have to do is launch. Oh no, actually. Can I actually? Yeah, you can. I never actually. At a certain. I am feeling this. Backflip. And there it is. Not launch up. So please don't do that. Use like I did. Alright, so you backflip and then you dive. Okay. Alright, not launch up. But we're going to do it the legitimate way. And then this is the library. This slip move. That makes up. Now this, follow the pattern. See these little books? You got to press each one correctly. But incorrectly would normally get beaten by a book, but somehow I dodged it. So I guess that's the game's karma for making me look like a fool. And yeah, here's your star. Very easy. Although I didn't make it look easy when I did the speedrun. All right. Alrighty, man. Seek the 8 red coins. Alright, before we do that, you know what to do. We are going to get the 100 coins. And now this is a new box. That will actually do that. It gives you for 5 coins. So yeah. Okay, so you actually make your way towards the back of this one is worth 10 points. So we're already making good progress with the points. And guess what? We're about to do even better. There's actually a back room about these ghosts. So you can actually go through the wall, but I will demonstrate it in a different part, in the next part, because you cannot go through. You cannot go through without a vanish cap. All right, we got 40 coins already. We didn't even get a single red coin. We're gonna go back to the merry-go-round. Because before we go down there, we're going to actually. Actually, I did mention this earlier. I didn't think about this. There's actually a shortcut that can get you down. And remember I said be careful not to fall? Well, I'm going to show you what happens when you do fall. And don't worry, we'll go back to the booth. It actually takes you here. It actually takes you right here. Here is the blue coin barrage. And just because I'm one of I'm going to be Luigi, right? I'm going to take care of this blue too. So, a blue star, what they do, it's pretty much a star that you already collected, and if you collected the blue star, nothing happens. All you really get after a certain point. Yeah.
Garrison,
Harrison.